Hello, everybody. The time is here. The day is now. We have finally reached the grand finals of the ECAC, Collegiate Overwatch Championship here at HVGamerCon in Albany, New York. It has been a long day of Overwatch, a long 2 days of Overwatch, actually, and we have finally come down to our finalists. It is the number 1 seed RPI up against the number 2 seed of SUNY Canton. Now, I was out there in the crowd. I was hearing the loud support. I can hear it right now, actually. SUNY Canton has the crowd behind them. Now, RPI may not be hearing that right now, but you know what? Maybe just skill is all they need, right, Jonah?
Yeah, everyone wants to take down the champions. I mean, when you're playing up against the championship team, it's up to them, the champions themselves, to maintain that mentality that they are the better team and come out just swinging versus the SUNY Canton that comes off a fresh win versus Drew.
Now, you were the one commentating that match. So, Jonah, what did you see in the SUNY Canton match up against Drew University that you liked? What do you think they can bring to the table in this grand final against RPI?
I saw a lot of aggressive play from the Brig of SUNY Canton in the form of Zekrom. He was able to disable the enemy Reinhardt when possible, allow Smith Pants to get in aggressively, and overall, I want to say for that team, Joji Pants really impressed a lot of people.
Joji Pants, Smith Pants, look at them. Everyone's wearing the pants in this family, and they're ready to take that tournament by storm. Now, on the other side of the battle, we do have RPI Esports. They have shown up to this tournament as the number 1 seed, and they have shown it throughout the entirety of this bracket, sweeping through with a 3-0 in their first match up against Alfred State, and then coming up clutch in a 3-1 victory earlier on today in the semifinals against Marist College. Now, from the side of RPI, is there anyone that you think can stand out? Is there anything you want to see them do? They are the number 1 team here, so they do have a little bit of a, I don't want to say pressure, but a bit of an expectation to perform.
Yeah, Deddy Derek with those Zarya grabs and Diva Bombs is able to change fights almost at will. And Beefcake also on that DPS was able to lay down lots of damage when he was able to play that Ashe in his opening round. Something to note, though, is that from Marist, we do have Default earning that all-tournament team, as well as GGQAQ.
From Drew University,
the main tank player, also earning those honors as well. So those 2 players will be honored. They'll be getting those trophies, getting all those that sweet karma,
they get,
the
looking all
plaques.
fancy. Because, I mean, we have to acknowledge, in my experience when I was casting Marist College in their games, Default was a crucial part of their success in getting themselves to the semifinals. Default, as a hit scan player, played absolutely fantastic, and he well deserves that. And you can speak to the contribution of Drew University's player, correct?
Yeah, GGQAQ, it's his birthday, and he showed up to play.
Ooh, look at that. We got a little onesie going on, getting ready, getting warm and fuzzy. Now, before we can load into this game, we need to make sure that we appreciate everyone that made this event happen here at HVGamerCon. All the staff, all the production team, all the other casters casting the Fortnite tournaments, casting the League of Legends tournament, our other casters who helped out with the Overwatch tournament. There's so many cogs that are in this machine that made sure that we were able to bring this to you guys. And look at those lovely fans out there showing SUNY Canton some love, making sure that this team has the support behind them. But back to my point, I want to make sure that we can get all the love to all our support, everyone at Nerd Street Gamers, everyone at ECAC Esports, everyone at the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Jesus, like a tongue twister. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Woo! Okay, we're back at it. We're good to go. And now we're just waiting for these 2 teams to load up.
Yeah, we got some fans in the crowd from both the RPI side and the SUNY Canton side. This will be a back-and-forth affair as we see the number 1 seed. Remember, they're the returning champions facing off versus the number 2 seed, the challengers this year. Let's see if it's going to be a repeat or it's going to be a new story.
Actually, SUNY Canton, I believe, is the returning champions from the fall. SUNY Canton popped off in the fall. They got their win. They got their plaques. Look at them. And they got their onesies, too. Look at that. I don't think she can hear us right now, but if she could, I want her to know that that onesie is popping off.
The Poro onesie.
I think it's a goat onesie.
It's a goat onesie? It's a goat onesie! No way!
I think it's a goat onesie, yeah.
My mind is blown right now. SUNY Canton rocking the goats onesie.
If you could see that gif right now of the man just standing there like, that's what we're doing right now.
My mind is exploding.
Does that mean that they're going to be coming out in goats nonstop? Maybe. Or maybe it's a mind game. So RPI sees that goat onesie, and they think, oh, SUNY Canton's going to roll out in goats. And next thing you know, they roll out in triple DPS. They roll out in quad DPS. They roll out in 5 DPS. They roll out in 6 DPS. You can't predict that.
They are an unstoppable, unpredictable team as we head into our game number 1 on our finals for this HV GamerCon. Let's see, it's going to be Li Zhang with RPI versus SUNY Canton.
Now in the crowd, I want to get a real quick noise. If you're here for SUNY Canton, make some noise for your team. Oh man, that's sounding good. And RPI, if you are here to support the #1 seed, make some noise for these boys and girls.
All right, well, SUNY Canton definitely ahead in the cheers right now.
Are they going to be ahead in the contest, though? We'll have to see. So now, Jonah, we're going to be loading up here in the Lijiang Control Center. What's this map really bring? What do you expect to see these teams run on a map like Lijiang Control Center?
Yeah, there's a few flanks right here out of the point. You can go to the left side out of spawn and contest the dark room, or you can go through main and go onto the point or go white room. So there are 3 different avenues of attack for your first fight.
As we say that, we are loaded up and entering the first fight of our grand finals. SUNY Canton is the red side, RPI is the blue side, and we have mirrored compositions. This might be the first time we have seen mirrored Zenyatta goats coming out, and this is just a whole cluster of animations right now. Reinhardt somehow holding his shield up with a hammer. That is a fantastic looking spectator flying bug. But anyway, SUNY Canton, oh man, RPI is the first team to strike with a charge down onto Wolf. We have a back and forth, and a slam comes out. A shatter is already dropped by Zekrim, but unfortunately, Beefcake answers back with a bubble of protection and 2 frags. RPI strikes first blood in this fight and will take point first before anything is said and done.
Yeah, they get the first kill, the opening pick, and then they extend that forward. There's so much ult economy for the side of RPI here as they look to hold aggressively and stuff this initial choke point.
Yep, and they open up with that Graviton Surge, clumping up all of SUNY Canton. A free short charge for Misu, the main tank of RPI, and Beefcake joins in the fragging fun. We get to see if any RPI characters will drop. Unfortunately for SUNY Canton, there is 0 casualties for RPI, and they're going to have a good chance to reset and use this fantastic ultimate economy they built up to keep that SUNY Canton attack at bay.
All right, we're keeping an eye on Joji here on the Zenyatta. In the last series, he was able to get opening pick after opening pick to thread the needle for his team. Let's see here if he can produce much of the same result versus RPI.
Joji is one of the players to watch on SUNY Canton, a fragger in his own right. A fantastic Brigitte stun, stopping the Reinhardt Shatter from getting anywhere, but that will not matter at all because the rest of RPI is backing up their main tank. We have 3 frags coming in, and SUNY Canton, they may be building up an ultimate economy, but they're falling in the percentage game on the point. They're giving up 60% so far, and there's only 40 left for RPI to take this first round.
Yeah, this undefeated Titans right here in RPI are able to stuff that choke point, and as SUNY Canton think of a new strategy, they let's go to the right side, but that's been stuffed by RPI as well. They throw in the grab and the D-bomb. That does nothing, but the fight continues onward.
We see that Absolute NACL is doing her damnedest to get some salt and sprinkle it all over the RPI lineup, and the Shatter does a damn good job of making sure that salt lands all over them, but there is still nobody dying. This is GOAT at its finest. As I say that, the caster curse strikes hard. Beefcake and Daddy Derek are the first 2 to draw blood on the SUNY Canton, and we are only left with 3% left. This fight and this round is going to RPI in a dominating fashion.
Yeah, Nick missed on the Steve, the last player that could potentially touch, but as he can't do it, he's moved backwards, and that will be the first submap of Lijiang Tower.
Yep, RPI dominating early on in this best of 5, winning out on Lijiang Control Center. They only have 1 more round left on Lijiang Tower in order to win map #1. And now we're going to be moving on to Lijiang Garden, I believe?
The Night Market.
Night Market, excuse me. I always mix up Garden and Night Market. Shaking my head, boys. But here we are in Night Market. As a pause comes up, we have to make sure all the players are good to go. We'll find out what's happening for you guys very shortly.
Yep.
But in the meantime, Jonah, Night Market is a slightly different map from Control Center, has a few different geometric shapes on it, has a few different corners and map layouts. So what do you expect to see the teams roll out with on Lijiang Night Market?
Well, you saw there the Control Center having that initial choke point that teams have to get through. Meaning,
oh, okay, so
it looks like
player's mic broke. So we'll be getting that fixed up shortly. Oh, it's already fixed, but back. Oh, quick fix.
All right. It'll take a couple seconds there. But before that, Control Center is a map that has an initial choke point that the defending team or the offending team has to get through. And when they push through that, they have to use lots of resources. So what differs from that is Night Market is a much more open map still with that courtyard outside, but there's still that choke point, meaning ghosts will still be very prevalent on this.
Do you expect to see anything different coming out because of the higher skybox that this map provides? Do you expect to see anything like Afara maybe? Could that be viable? Maybe bringing out the triple DPS, getting some nice little spice and Gouda up in here?
Yeah, of course. Night Market, the map where we saw EQO and Carpe pop off on that Pharaoh Widow duo on this exact map. We could see something like that, abuse the skybox with the Pharaoh, abuse the sightline in the open area with the Widowmaker, of course, and maybe even a triple DPS from the side of SUNY Canton.
Yep, and we saw RPI is well equipped to use that Widowmaker. Huragok is a fantastic hit scan player, getting flicks left and right, up and down, every single direction. Maybe that's what they need. Or when you don't need a hit scan, you can just fall back on Go Goats Papega.
Yeah, of course, and something to also note is SUNY Canton actually coming in with one of their subs. They replaced their main tank player and actually subbed in Zekarim for that main tank and put Wolf in as that Brigitte.
So we see an interesting swap around for these teams, making sure that they are well equipped and prepared to walk out with that grand finals championship. This is what they have worked for not only the last 2 days, not only the last week, but over the last few months. They have played in group stages throughout this whole semester, worked hard to try and make sure that they are practiced and prepared for this LAN. Where many of these players, this might be their first LAN ever, something that you have to take into account when you see performances going on stage.
Yeah, nervousness could play a big factor into deciding which of these teams does come out on top. You must stay extremely calm and collected. Your head must be cool as a cucumber, and you have to stay with your communication with your teammates, ensuring that you have a very, very cohesive unit.
Exactly. You fail a 6 and you succeed a 6. This is a team game. You have to make sure you're working together, picking each other up. When someone falls down, the other 5 do their best to make sure that that person is picked up and back in the unit, in the cogs in the machine. So we will be seeing these two teams shortly back onto the map. Lijiang Night Market is our map. We are a 1-0 round score on Lijiang in favor of RPI. A pretty decisive map number 1. I believe 100-0 score. After that first fight, we didn't see much of SUNY Canton touching the point. So that leads the question, if SUNY Canton is faced with such a rock-solid offense by RPI, are they able to break through that same rock-solid defense? They haven't shown it on Lijiang Control Center, but now they have a new opportunity on Night Market. Yep,
Night Market much more favorable for getting out of that choke point, of course. And as we go to fix these issues, we could just look at the nice ceiling we have here. I mean, not many casters have mentioned this. The ceiling is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, exactly. That ceiling is a fantastic piece of work. I have stared at it for quite some time while I've been here, looked at it and enjoyed the pretty colors. They look like my mouse. They look like my keyboard because, you know, you got to make sure you have that nice wave action going with
RGB at its finest.
RGB, yep. You got to make sure you're looking clean. Nobody else can see it, but you can see it while you're playing, you know?
Exactly.
That's what matters.
That's what matters right there. If you are comfortable with the equipment you have, of course, a lot of these players not just having to use the tournament peripherals, but of course bringing their own because they prefer those. They're better than the ones that have been provided, obviously. And this is, you know, just a show of how good these players are, these competitors are.
Comfort is important. You practice on a setup. You practice on your PC. You get used to the feeling of a certain mouse, a size of a certain mouse, and that can be absolutely crucial crucial when you're playing certain heroes. Even like the Reinhardt, maybe you're getting used to the swing and the 180s. You're playing a Widowmaker. Those flicks depend incredibly on your mouse movement and your mouse precision. And here we are, folks. We're back onto the map. We're back here on Lijiang Tower Night Market, ready to see if SUNY Canton is going to take this to a round 3, or if RPI is going to close out map number 1 in quick fashion.
All right, SUNY Canton rolling out with that untraditional composition, while RPI matching them with that tried and true goats. Let's see as they rotate through the courtyard, through the garden, onto the point. It's up to SUNY Canton to harass them with that Ashe and Genji.
Beefcake stepping ahead of the Reinhardt shield and pays for it with a sleep dart. Unfortunately for SUNY Canton, nothing will come of it. Keeping track of the ultimate charges, RPI's Reinhardt of Misu is nearing 70% shatter charge. Zekrom unfortunately only at 50. If this keeps up, they will have a hard time breaking the point. SUNY Canton giving up point first to RPI, who does a fantastic job of reaching the point first and positioning properly. And a shatter comes down behind the entirety of SUNY Canton. A sleep dart is dropped onto Misu, but it is way too late. Joji tried his hardest, but RPI cleans house and again wins the first fight of the map.
Yeah, with RPI taking that decisive pattern, they knew exactly what they wanted to do. The strategy was already in mind, and they executed it almost flawlessly. That's why you see already 25% being taken by the side of RPI on this King of the Hill map.
And SUNY Canton, like we talked about, they're going with a less traditional composition in this meta. They have the Reinhardt Zarya along with Genji and Ashe. But before we can get into that, the Genji of Xenotix pops off, getting 2 kills. But Daddy Derek and Beefcake are putting the team on their back, answering back with a 5-kill feed wipe. That is huge for RPI to counter the Genji Blade and return fire.
Yeah, and when we talk about Overwatch, you talk about win conditions. Xenotix on that Genji with Joji on that Ana produced the Genji Nano Blade that allowed him to get the initial 2 picks. But RPI's win condition on Goats being that Zarya grab into Diva Bomb netted them way more value.
Now SUNY Canton, they have their Reinhardt Shatter. They have Bob. Hopefully he can do something for them. But RPI's Misu has already built up his 2nd Shatter before we've seen even one out of Zekrom. The ultimate economy is in RPI's favor. Well, are they able to use that to their advantage? And a massive Shatter drops 4 members of RPI, but they cannot respond. And SUNY Canton is now down from a Shatter on the side of RPI. And RPI has done so much more with their Shatter and dropped the entirety of SUNY Canton. Jonah, we're only at 8% left.
Yeah, Reagan came in flying out of the point, wasn't shattered, stunned the enemy Ryan and Zekrom, disabled him from getting back into the fight, and that's going to be it. A second 100-2-0 RPI. I mean, I hate to say this, but it's kind of as expected so far, all according to plan.
RPI, the #1 seed, showing why they deserve that ranking. RPI getting a clean 2-0 here on Lijiang Tower, not giving up a single percentage to the SUNY Canton lineup. And you know, it looked promising there for SUNY Canton. They got a nice shatter down, but the transcendence from Huragak on RPI was perfectly timed, mitigating any incoming damage.
Yep, and that's the combination that we were talking about before, the win condition for Goats being the Grav Diva Bomb. It just wasn't the same as that Ashe and Genji. There just wasn't enough win condition, there wasn't enough tankiness for the point, and once they were able to capture the point, they could stuff the choke very effectively.
Exactly, and maybe that Pharah pick came in a little bit too late. You want that Pharah to be able to build up a barrage very quickly and early on. Those ultimates on a DPS-centric composition are how you can win out a lot of these fights against Ghosts. And unfortunately, like we said, it came in a little bit too late possibly. But now, SUNY Canton is going to get the loser's side pick. We are going on to, I believe, a payload map? A true payload map?
Yep, Escort will be the next map, map number 2, and it might be that SUNY Canton might come in with some subs. I'm not exactly sure right now, but they're just trying to figure out their coach, of course, there.
So, Jonah, we've seen RPI is a very practiced team on Goats. They love running Goats. They believe in their Goats composition, but SUNY Canton has the map pick. What Escort do you believe would be best for SUNY Canton? Should they play into the Goats v Goats, or do you think they should come back with a different composition?
If you want to play that not a rather traditional 2-2-2 dive composition, you can elect to go for that Junkertown where Goats is a little less powerful. You could also go to Dorado, of course. Dorado, a map that you have a lot of high ground. Widowmaker can get a ton of value, and that high skybox allows Pharah to reign supreme.
Exactly. That is maybe what SUNY Canton needs. SUNY Canton is going to be bringing in a substitution right now, and so that we will take a quick break. But when we get back, we will be loading into map number 2, an escort map of SUNY Canton's choosing. So do not go anywhere.
Don't click that mouse.
Don't click that mouse. Hello, everybody. Welcome back here to HV GamerCon. We are loading into our second map very shortly. It's going to be an escort map. For those of you who may have been joining us a little bit late, we happen to have a map number 1 victory that went by pretty quickly for RPI, getting a decisive 2-0 over SUNY Canton with not 100-0 on both points of Lijiang Tower. Now, Jonah, we talked about this before the break. You think that Junkertown might be a good map for this team, SUNY Canton, to pull out in their escort map of choice. Do you want to highlight again why you believe that would be a good choice?
Yeah, in the quarterfinals and the round of 32, the SUNY Canton team did actually play this map as a counter pick against them, and they had the most practice on it. It also is a map that disables goats quite a bit, as there is a very wide platform, very wide, what is
area?
Very wide area of plat piece of space.
A wide area of play?
Yeah, like a desert, just a nice Australian desert.
It's kind of barren?
Yeah, and you can just kind of play Widowmaker there, kind of just chill out, you know. Goats can't get value, exactly.
Play some Hammond while you're at, get some
Orisa, some Bastion, you know.
Protect the president.
Yep, no more goats maybe.
Go Goats, Pepega. I mean, GOATS is at that point where we can always really see it on any map, and that's unfortunately one of the parts of having such a strong composition.
Yep.
But there are counters to it. We've seen teams like the Chengdu Hunters in the Overwatch League almost refusing to play GOATS and still managing to come out on top numerous times with that centric triple DPS to quad DPS composition. Now, it's a very difficult composition to pull off. You cannot just play it and expect victory. But if you're practiced on it, it is the GOATS killer, and that might be just the answer they need to beat this RPI team.
Yep, in 3 DPS, just as Kenny said, the Chengdu Hunters, an expert team in running that in the Overwatch League, and very much what they do is they single out a single support on the side of their opposing team, and they make sure that all 3 DPS surround and corral the support where they have no option but to jump off the map or die.
Exactly, and sometimes, jumping off the map, it's a sad death, but, it happens to the best of us.
Doesn't give you ult charge with the enemy team, and really
Yep.
that's what it's about for GOATS. GOATS is about ultimate cycling, and so is the game of Overwatch. That's why you see so much GOATS, and also that's why you see the 3 DPS possibly take the advantage over GOATS. If Pharah is able to build her Pharah barrage much faster than the enemy team can build their support ults, then she will have a very free time.
Exactly. And talking about the ultimate economy and ultimates in general, RPI, their GOATS is so strong because they're managing to use their ultimates in tandem with each other and preparing those ultimates for when they're necessary. A prime example is on Night Market when we saw SUNY Canton almost breach the point and get a nice shatter down. But the transcendence coming in from Huragok was absolutely massive in keeping the team alive. And they had that prepared and ready to go. And if they weren't tracking ultimates well enough, if they weren't working as a team, if they didn't have trust in each other, he may have blown that and then they were left out in the dust.
Yep, and it's all about that crucial communication at the end of the day. We're going to see SUNY Canton make some swaps as we head into our second map of this grand final, this best of 5 grand final here at HV GamerCon.
This second map, as you are seeing on your screen right now, is Rialto. Jonah, we thought they would go with a map like Junkertown. What do you think their thinking is for going with Rialto as their map of choice?
So, of course, Game 7 of the Stage 1 Grand Finals was on the map Rialto. Maybe SUNY Canton is a team that has seen the Bumper VOD, seen the Vancouver Titans play this exact map. They might have that pat down right there, how to execute on that map, where to fight, how to engage, and that might be the advantage they need. The extra knowledge that they would have from watching those VODs will allow them to transcend their opponents in RPI.
And the first point of this map, as we see, RPI is going to be the team defending first. The first point of this map has almost 2 phases to it, you can say. There's the initial opening phase, which is a very tight corridor, something you might see on Street's phase of Kings Row, something you might see in certain other maps. And then as you go throughout point number 1, it opens up a little bit more, and that changes the kind of compositions you can play into it. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, the compositions that you could potentially see are maybe a 3-3 close hold. You could also see, of course, that Bastion hold close up. And, of course, you could see those Widowmaker. And like we saw during the group stages, we also saw that, Torb Junkrat.
Rambo Torbjorn.
Yeah, Rambo Torbjorn, which could be very viable in this meta. But, of course, we see here tried true GOATs going at it. SUNY Canton, with these changes, they reverted back to the roster that they ran versus the number 3 team in Drew University. The battle rages on at the very start. Smith Pants' shield does drop low. Both these tanks might need to reset a little bit as the fight ensues.
SUNY Canton is going for the GOATs beat GOATs. We have Zenyatta GOATs versus Zenyatta GOATs, and RPI will strike first, dropping Xenotix, Mech, and Beefcake, and Huragok will join in on the fun. SUNY Canton, down 2 members already, are going to have to re-establish their ground on this map, go back to spawn, fall into the water, and maybe take a little dive or 2 and regroup and consider their options coming up. Because RPI, their ultimate economy, look at that, Jonah. Everybody minimum is at 75% ultimate charge.
Yep, and what SUNY Canton did to Drew University, they used that Zen versus Zen duel, and RPI is doing that to SUNY Canton. It's tears, ladies and gentlemen. Huragok is the supreme Zen on this server.
Huragok showing his prowess on hit scan characters. Zenyatta more of a projectile, but it doesn't matter when you can click heads, and that won't even matter when your Lucio is the one getting all the final blows. A beautiful Graviton Surge coming out from RPI's Beefcake, and that was only one ultimate used to wipe an entire fight, Jonah. That is efficiency.
Of course, Kenny right there, but a kill does come back for SUNY Canton. They get Derek Denny early, and they also get the block on the Earth Shatter. They swing in, a big slam comes in.
Man.
There's still a trance though. There's still a sound barrier. What could possibly go in the favor of SUNY Canton right now?
They are losing all their ultimates and gaining almost nothing for it. Unfortunately fortunately for SUNY Canton, they managed to take out the opponent Reinhardt, but they lose their diva in response. RPI, they have only 5 right now, and when you're on the defense on an early point like this, losing one member is incredibly detrimental. Graviton Surge is going to try and minimize those losses. A beautiful diva bomb drops and falls down the staircase a little too quickly, but that pressure was exactly what RPI needed to force the rest of SUNY Canton to either die or go back to spawn willingly.
Yep, Zekrim right there, jumping off the map real quick, making sure it doesn't feed more ultimate charge. Of course, you build that ultimate charge when you land shots on the enemy team, or swings in Reinhardt's case or Briggs' case. So let's see right here, SUNY Canton, this is their map pick. They've done the work, they've done the studying, they're just not executing right now. What are they going to do? Will they change the pathing maybe? But actually, as I said, Lawson has made the adjustment. He's playing the Sombra now.
They switch over to the Sombra. Lawson has shown to be arguably the most flexible player on SUNY Canton, and now a Graviton Surge is used by Catback, but nothing else will come from it. A fantastic Rhine Shatter dropped by Misu, drops the entirety of SUNY Canton, and they are under a minute left to move this payload, Jonah.
Man, the camping from RPI right now, after they get the initial pick, they're all on the same page. They're communicating together that all 6 members of their team should push up aggressively, keep the pressure on there right now. And the second adjustment comes in for SUNY Canton right now. Zekrim from that brig onto that mortar to provide extra healing for the team. They have a solid ult economy here. They still have 2 or almost 3 to their name. Let's see what they can do with this next fight.
Jonah, RPI has 2 defensive support ultimates at their disposal coming up, but SUNY Canton needs to make sure that they can utilize their swap, and unfortunately Mora cannot keep Catfax alive. Smith Pants trying to shatter, and that does not pick up any kills, but Xenotix does the heavy lifting instead. Gets 2 kills with the Diva Bomb. SUNY Canton is starting to swing this fight into their favor. RPI may be holding down, but SUNY Canton should be able to close this out. But no! Misutera, with one of the fattest fire strikes I've seen, picks up 2 charges for a 3rd, and he is controlling this point, demanding that he gets the lone number on this point. And I do not know how SUNY Canton was unable to get this point, but man, RPI is holding so strong.
In the last 20 seconds of that fight, Misu ended up with 7 final blows, while Beefcake only had 2. But Misu actually contributes to all 9 frags on the side of RPI. That is main tank gameplay right there. That is sustainability on the point, and that is RPI's
Jonah,
main tank.
you talked about Bumper, you talked about summoning Vancouver, but I think RPI is the team that summoned Inner Vancouver right there. Bumper, such an aggressive main tank, getting the ability to frag out because he has the team support. And right there, we saw that Misu was given that same kind of support to frag out.
Yep, the swing onto the Diva to demech her, then the Fire Strike follow-up to kill her in baby form, as well as pick up another member, then the pin onto the enemy Rhine, and then the cleanup cleaving. This is all RPI so far. We've seen 100-0 on both maps of King of the Hill, and it looks like the SUNY Canton crowd is just a little bit quiet now.
They need to get hyped. They need to get loud. SUNY Canton needs this support. They have a tall task ahead of them. They are not allowed to let this payload hit 45 meters. 45.27 meters. That is not very far, Jonah. That barely squeaks out of that initial choke, if at all.
Yeah, and as Miso here gives us a little strobe light EDM action, just like, oh, and Daddy Derek joins in the festival as well. It's just dancing galore right now for the squad of RPI as she fires off those rockets.
Dang, they look like they're powered by Dunkin' Donuts, Jonah.
They have lots of coffee in them. They might have grabbed a late night trip to that Dunkin' right now, and it looks like SUNY Canton. Let's see what they have, what strategies the coach has come up with, what strategies the player has come up with, and of course, they're going to be defending.
SUNY Canton rolling out with an interesting lineup here. Jonah, you want to comment on what you think SUNY Canton's going for here?
SUNY Canton selected to put Lawson on that McCree, adding in that hit damage from the Cowboy, swapped over the D.Va to the Hammond, who's able to disrupt the enemy Reinhardt, make sure that he's not available for that fight. But 2 picks, they can't keep fighting like this. They have to go in and out with this composition, and that's not what they're doing right now. They're staggering.
The composition was supposed to disrupt RPI, but it looked like it caused more chaos for SUNY Canton, and just like that, RPI closes out Rialto incredibly decisively and takes a 2-0 lead at the grand finals here at the ECAC Overwatch Collegiate Championship.
Yeah, and the play of the game here, brought to you by Duncan, is the main tank player, Misu from RPI. The swing left, right into the Graviton Church, the 5-strike, the 4-man Earth Shatter, the pin, decloaks the Sombra, smacks her after she's decloaked, the kill on the break to follow. Then they can pull this off.
Yep, this is where champions are born. This is how legends are made. This is where success is the sweetest. You are down 0-2. You need to win the next 3 maps to come out as a victor. If you drop 1 more to RPI, you will lose. So this is the definition of do or die. SUNY Canton, are they up to the task? We're going to find out soon, as I believe we are loading in very shortly to our 3rd map, which is going to be a hybrid map.
Yep, heading into this, it's going to be all fight or flight there, but they're backed up into the corner. They can't fly away. They have to stand their ground, put their backs against the wall, and come out swinging.
Yep, and here we go, a familiar map for all those in attendance this weekend. Kings Row. Now, Kings Row, Jonah, I want you to comment on this map. Talk to me about what you think this map provides in terms of strategy, in terms of composition, in terms of team play.
Of course, the 2nd map for Overwatch to be released, Kings Row, a traditional favorite for all of you viewers as well as myself. This is by far our favorite maps. This is our favorite map. So what you see here is a narrow street corner. Of course, this is Kings Row in Great Britain. You have Big Ben up there. You have the old hotel, as well as the statue. Of course, in the short with Widowmaker, you also saw the Omnic Crisis take place here, where robots fight for equal rights with humans as well. This is, of course, placed in the future.
Is that what the Omnic Crisis is?
The Omnic Crisis is about civil rights.
Wow, I didn't know that about the lore. The more you know.
The more you know, the better you can be and the better you can play.
Exactly. If you know more about the lore, then you're better at the game. And that's why Doa is the best player in the entire world.
Doa is the best Overwatch player to ever grace the land.
Quote me and Jonah, or Jonah and I should say, on that. But before we can get to any quotes and newspapers, we have to make sure we focus on SUNY Canton's attack. This could be the last match we see of this grand final. And SUNY Canton opens it up, unfortunately losing their main tank. Misu shows up and says he is the dominant Reinhardt in this matchup. Reagan joining in on the fun too, getting a frag onto the D.Va mech and the D.Va herself. The rest of RPI just barreling down this main choke of Kings Row first point.
Yeah, but the Smith Vance did come out swinging right there. He was able to enable himself to build more ult charge as he got not only 3 but 4 swings off onto the whole of RPI. With that advantage though, they can't do too much because V-Cakes.
We have to point out again, ultimate economy. If you're watching this at home, if you're watching this in the crowd, look at the ultimate of RPI versus the ultimate of SUNY Canton. RPI, quite frankly, is just landing more shots and creating more opportunities for themselves. They already have 3 ultimates at their disposal with only 1 on SUNY Canton.
Yeah, RPI doing a brilliant job too. After they get the initial pick, look here, they stagger more kills. The members of SUNY Canton have to go back to their spawn, and if they don't, they're called out just like this.
Jonah, stagger kills. Talk to me. What does this mean for a team like SUNY Canton?
They have to be calm and collected here. They can't come out of spawn just like Catfax did right there. They have to make sure that they regroup, spawn together, come out of 6, which is traditional of 3-3.
Exactly. 3-3 is also called a death ball because it is a clumped up group that rolls into the enemy as a death ball, so to speak. And so now, SUNY Canton, they're coming up on their ultimate, but a fantastic Graviton E by Xenotix gives SUNY Canton the momentum they may need, but Beefcake is doing his damnedest to stop it in his track. Misu with a fatty shatty onto the back line of SUNY Canton. We're watching the rest of SUNY Canton fall one after another. Smith Pants and Xenotix are the only ones left alive, and smartly, RPI is leaving this baby diva alive, forcing her to delay her death, delay her spawn, and make SUNY Canton take a few more seconds to get back to point.
Yeah, I don't know the future of England's garbage disposal plans, but it looks like here Miso should thumbstring them everywhere.
Oh man, you hate to hear it, Jonah. We need to talk about what RPI is doing to SUNY Canton. These are your fall champions, and they are being made to look like the runners-up at the next best thing. RPI, on the other hand, is looking like the dominant force we expect them to be. And speaking on that, Daddy Derek wants some of that attention that Misu has been hogging all to himself. Gets a double kill with the Diva Bomb, and SUNY Canton, they have a minute left to get anywhere on Kings Row first point.
Yeah, but without that Transcendence available with the Zen back into defensive spawn, it means that SUNY Canton has the available time for 65. But Smithfans not able to regroup with his team, called out by that Daddy Derek player you mentioned earlier, meaning that RPI will look for an engagement here in a 6v5 situation.
For the first time in this matchup, SUNY Canton and RPI are going to be even with their ultimate economy. This is the moment when SUNY Canton has to strike. They have to deal a decisive blow, and they pick off Reagan. A fantastic start to the fight. A charge comes in, but the Transcendence from Joji is doing everything he can to keep his team up, and it may have been a bit too early as the rest of RPI are trying to fight back. But no, SUNY Canton will not die. They managed to pull out the last fight of this match, take Kings Row point A, and we are moving on to Streets phase for SUNY Canton.
Man, Smithfans did the work from the grade right there, landed a 3-man shatter, and even if he was on that gray screen, his team was able to coordinate and follow up with the kills that he set up.
SUNY Canton, they may have managed to get to the base of the mountain, but they still have a long way to climb. They have to clear Streets phase, and with the time that they've left themselves, there's a marginal room for error to get to point 3. RPI, on the other hand, they want to hold at this choke point right here. They have some ultimate economy. They have the ability to do some heavy damage. And as I say that, the Graviton Surge will drop onto the team. And Daddy Derek follows up with a beautiful Diva Bomb combo in tandem with Beefcake's Graviton Surge. And now SUNY Canton is being pushed back into the spawn and being told, you may have taken point A, but you'll have to do even better to get point B.
Yeah, the Streets phase in that archway, as you mentioned, Kenny, a choke point that RPI knows all too well. They're able to essentially make sure that the SUNY Canton members are just stuck in that choke point, as the Kangaroos are just looking for a desperate way that they can strategically position themselves in the high ground to get any advantage they can to disrupt the members of RPI.
Joji is the Zenyatta player. We talked about him being a player to watch. Joji has shown that his right click, his left click, his transcendences can carry this team through a fight. But now, more than ever, they need the power of their Zenyatta. They drop the beat to try and protect the team from any incoming damage. But a transcendence is used in response by RPI. Xenotix opens up the fight with a beautiful Diva Bomb kill, and the shatter is dropped by Misu. And Xenotix will follow up with a kill onto him as well. SUNY Canton is doing their best to snowball Streets phase, and they pull out an incredibly clutch win that they only need one more fight to get to point 3.
By the time this cart gets to the end of Streets phase, RPI will most likely have regrouped, and they'll be able to contest the payload with the 30-second time bank right now. It's going to be up to SUNY Canton, the players on the team right now, to recognize what they can do, what plays, what tomfoolery they can possibly conjure up to beat RPI.
Beefcake has that Graviton Surge. SUNY Canton Smith Pants has his shatter. It is going to be a fight of mere centimeters, mere seconds. This is going to be all of SUNY Canton's power to come in, and they drop it on the Transcendence. There is going to be no Zenyatta coming in on this fight because he is down, but that will not matter because SUNY Canton will lose almost their entire lineup after a fantastic Graviton Surge. And while they may have tried valiantly, their journey will end at the end of second point Streets phase. So now, RPI, they have to attack. They have to take point A, and they have to get towards the end of Streets phase, second point. SUNY Canton gave themselves a good amount of room to work with. Not an ideal amount. Ideally, you'd get to third point at least, make some damage there, but they still have room to hold. If they can make sure that they buckle down and group up and do their jobs, they can come out on top, Jonah.
Yeah, if they're able to trust one another, play their heroes to utmost perfection, the top peak performance they're capable of, if these players can enter somehow that state of flow, get into, as basketball players say, a hot hand, then they can potentially turn this series around. But I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, the bitter end of the coffee spectrum, the black coffee at Dunkin'. I really don't see how RPI lose this.
RPI have given us a good reason to think they could come out on top, but SUNY Canton has shown the most fight they have had this entire grand finals. Now they will have to do that plus more to hold back the Titans of RPI. This team has shown that they are incredibly practiced on goats, incredibly confident, and they play at such a high sensitivity in their loading room that they just spin out in non-stop circles.
Yeah, it's a tradition here from Misu and Daddy Derek right now. Every single time we've seen them in spawn, they've been spinning with that high DPI. Maybe it's the ritual they require, the thing that sets the trigger to make sure that they're ready to rumble.
This is RPI's offensive push. If they are successful in taking the payload to point 2 and almost to the end, they will walk out of here as grand champions, and that does not look promising for SUNY Canton, losing their main tank oh so early. I think he was trying to go for some cheeky, sneaky play, Jonah.
Yeah, but Hergok does get taken out on the side of RPI. That does mean that without the main tank, the RPI side, the blue offending team, can freely push onto the point, displace the members of SUNY Canton, and ultimately get a kill on Lawson right there. BK is fragging out, but so that returns the kill onto Misu, where Daddy Derek gets the D-Vector onto the enemy Diva.
Joji looking so strong, pulling out that Transcendence before any other ultimates can be used. That Zenyatta play was absolutely crucial to holding this point. That immense amount of healing was fantastic. But now you have to wonder, is RPI going to get a free Graviton Surge, a free Shatter, a free anything, because there is no support ultimate in at least 45% for SUNY Canton.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good so far for the side of RPI. I mean, they did have their first offensive repelled, but this does set up their second offense here. Let's see what they do.
A Graviton Surge comes in from Catpack, taking out Ivy Jack early on in the engagement. RPI is now going to have to fight this uphill battle, but a massive Shatter is dropped onto the entirety of RPI, and SUNY Canton is pushing back the Titans from RPI once again. Dang it, SUNY Canton, you came here ready to defend your turf.
Yeah, SUNY Canton summoning that energy that they have left in the reserves. This would be their final map if they do fall here, but they say no, they say nay, they're here to play.
They say, hey, you know what? We like to make it a little dramatic. And as I say that, an early Graviton Surge is used, followed by a beat to counter it. The Diva Bomb from Daddy Derek will not do any sort of damage, but Zeno takes one up his opponent, takes out Ivy Jack again. Ivy Jack has died so often in these fights, there is no sound barrier for RPI, and that is proving to be incredibly detrimental to their goals.
Yeah, RPI right there used the Diva Bomb and the Graviton Surge, the two win conditions on the side of Goat's composition, and they got absolutely nil. SUNY Canton has the momentum now.
SUNY Canton swinging the momentum back into their favor right now. They only have to hold this point for 1 minute and 25 seconds. That's about 2 more fights depending on how they go. So now an early beat is used by IB-Jack, getting tired of dying with that ultimate in hand. And Beefcake responds by saying, I got you, buddy. Unfortunately, though, SUNY Canton is going to respond as well. This is a back and forth engagement right now, and RPI is trying their hardest to break this incredibly concrete defense that SUNY Canton has brought out, and it may be that time finally. RPI, they tried, and they finally succeed and break through SUNY Canton's defense.
Let's see here, SUNY Canton does get the early spawns, though it looks like everybody got the close spawn, which means that they will be able to hold under that archway. Let's see if RPI allows them the space, though. Joji, like we said before, still has that transition. Of course, he went down early last fight, but he has it for this one.
The Reinhardt shield battle is incredibly crucial, but Smith Pants just hits shift and goes for it, and it does not pay off. He trades his life for the life of a Lucio. Joji is trying to keep the rest of the team alive in place of their Reinhardt, and for some reason, RPI was not able to capitalize on that, and SUNY Canton takes that victory in that fight by force and is ready to hold strong here at the archway.
Yeah, Lawson's Lucio is so aggressive. He's just wall riding up there, getting the finishing blows on those two heroes in the stagger. That's what you want to see from your support right there, Lawson.
Beefcake, though, on RPI, a standout player, a fantastic Zarya player, has a Graviton Surge. This ultimate is a fight winner if used properly in tandem with the Diva Bomb, but Xenotix strikes first with the Diva Bomb, destroying Misu's Reinhardt and sending him back to the gray screen. SUNY Canton off the back of Catback and Smith Pants are trying to push out RPI. IB-Jack coming in with a questionable beat drop, but the boop is not as questionable. It is incredibly satisfactory. The rest of RPI barrels in, the respawns come in, and SUNY Canton, they have overstayed their welcome here and are being pushed back to the end of second point.
Yeah, they overinvested ult to the side of RPI, but that overinvestment did let them win that fight, and they are pushing up here. Let's see if Catfax does stay up. Joji saves his life with that Transcendence. Tranquility towards the point now. Catfax returns this time to his teammate.
Daddy Derek, a beautiful eat on Catfax Graviton Surge. That is not what you want to see if you're a SUNY Canton fan, but they are doing their best to say screw ultimates. We have a basic ability, we have a left click, and we have heart. RPI, though, they have built up the ultimate economy they need to succeed. They can win this next fight with the ultimates at their disposal.
Yes.
It's up to SUNY Canton to deal with that threat.
Yeah, SUNY Canton can hold this right now with only a minute left on that time bank. But they do have a baby diva in this one with Xenotix. If he's able to get his diva mech back, maybe they can hold the defense here. But an early grab from the side of RPI comes out. Smithhands located on this high ground, just sitting from above, hoping to land a shatter. But that's Catfax going down now. The fight is being pushed in by the side of RPI.
Oh, a big Reinhardt shatter! Smith Pants is the only Reinhardt to not fall, and RPI uses a huge Transcendence. They use their beat, and for some reason, they do not drop. They use both support ultimates. They're staying alive. SUNY Canton responds with a Transcendence of their own. This is the last fight. SUNY Canton can lose. If they lose right here, they will not walk out of here champions. But RPI, they want that title. They're going to take that title, and they walk out of the ECAC Collegiate Overwatch Championship as your winners.
RPI, some fantastic showing, almost symbolic at the end there, as you see their substitutes come onto the stage. Cheer up RPI right now. Your number one seed, as planned, takes the championship.
Here we're going to see the play of the game. A beautiful use of Misutera's holding left mouse button on Reinhardt. But we have to comment, that was an incredible hold by SUNY Canton right there. They threw all their eggs into that basket. They were so close to forcing a game 4, and it was definitely causing RPI to sweat on their foreheads.
Yeah, the sportsmanship from both teams as they exchange handshakes. It's a sigh of relief by RPI, but SUNY Canton has accomplished their goal. They got to the finals as they wanted to.
They did, and they did, in fact, put up a fight, like I just said, but unfortunately for them, it took a little bit too long. The first point of Lijiang Tower, the second point of Rialto, it seemed like they were asleep a little bit. They weren't prepared, or maybe they just had a mental block, but they came into Kings Row looking like a new unit, and it was almost what they needed to force a Game 4.
Of course, Smith Pants' shatter at the end, though. He did get the better of his counterpart right there as he came around the corner, landed the 6-man versus the 5-man, of course.
Oh, hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Oh, I was waving hi to the people at home.
Oh, all right. Welcome, guys. So that concludes pretty much our tournament for HV GamerCon.
Almost. We have to talk about the winners, RPI.
We have to talk about RPI.
They did some fantastic play, okay? They won this best of 5, this grand finals. They won it 3-0. They did it incredibly convincingly, and I want your opinion. Who do you think was the MVP of that grand finals?
From RPI, definitely want to give a shout out to Daddy Derek. When he did have Diva Bombs on Li Zhang and Rialto, they were massive. They got 2-3 kills. On the side of on the other side of SUNY Canton, Xenotix had a consistent 1 or 2 kills per Diva Bomb. Nothing glorious, but always consistent, old, reliable. That being said, though, RPI, my MVPs for their side are Daddy Derek and Misu.
I think Misu gets that. Not only am I a main tank player, aside from that bias, I think that he was an incredible force to be reckoned with, and when your main tank is running the show like Misu was, that can lead to some incredible victories. And we saw when Misu had the power, when he had the support, Rialto, for example, on Li Zhang, for example, Reinhardt is so important there, and he proved why he was the better Reinhardt in today's matchup.
Yeah, of course, on the side of SUNY Canton, I really want to highlight player Lawson. Played 7 different heroes in our semifinals, continued to flex in our grand finals. The player was on fire. That guy has some serious adaptability.
And Joji, while you're at it, Joji Zenyatta, we were told early on that he was a player to watch, and we could see why. He was landing so many Zenyatta left clicks, so many right clicks, and when you're hitting the targets, regardless of whether or not you're getting kills, you're building that ultimate economy and creating transcendence opportunities for your team. And that transcendence saved them from a few different fights throughout this entire tournament, and they would not have reached this point without Joji.
Of course, the whole team to be commended, of course, on the side of SUNY Canton and on the side of RPI. Of course, RPI coming out victorious with the 3-0 does mean that that concludes our tournament, but still, it's still something to note that, you know, we want to make sure that we thank all the sponsors, of course. We still want to make sure we thank all the production crew, of course.
Everyone here who made this beautiful show happen, put together that beautiful stage where if you came out here to HV GamerCon, you got to see all the beautiful lights, the beautiful stage, the beautiful production. And you know what? As I say that, as I'm talking about stage, we're going to cut to the stage and get a nice little shot of our winning team, RPI. So please enjoy that beautiful view that we're going to bring up on your screen. Want to say Misu?
Yeah, Misu.
I think so. Okay, so I believe we are heard over the microphone now. Hello, everybody. Yeah, Yep, so we are seeing these beautiful Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute champions. They have come into the ECAC tournament, and they managed to roll through all of the competition, only dropping one singular map throughout the entirety of this weekend's bracket. Now, it cannot be understated that the team play from this unit was crucial to succeeding today, and I have to say that that is what makes everyone succeed, not only in Overwatch, but the production aspect as well. You can see here that ECAC head and the rest of Rensselaer Polytechnic are getting a nice little chat, enjoying that trophy that they have. They walk out of here champions. We're going to get a few more plaques to support everyone who showed up today and deserve an all-team honor, as well naming an MVP for the tournament. That will be brought to you very shortly. In the meantime, though, we have to say that not only did RPI come out and perform incredibly well, not only did SUNY Canton show up and get themselves to the grand finals and give themselves a hell of a shot, we also have to shout out Marist College, who came in and put up a hell of a fight against Rensselaer, and Drew University, who's also secured themselves almost a finals berth against SUNY Canton. Unfortunately, that series in the semifinals came incredibly close. But nonetheless, players from every single team will be receiving a plaque for all team in the ECAC, as well as an MVP from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute.
Of course, these players have done the work. They put in the time, and you see here Mr. Kiernan giving a quick shout out to the crowd, letting them know who it is that won the games and who won the tournament overall.
Exactly. You can see a beautiful shot of that lovely ceiling. We can see right there. It is a fantastic view, but I think you're about to get an even nicer view with us. Hello. And so that might be my last hello of the night, because unfortunately for you,
it's our last goodbye
for
too.
us, it's our last goodbye. It's our only goodbye. Oh, no, there were some other goodbyes.
Yeah, see you later.
We have to end this show. We have to end the ECAC Collegiate Overwatch Championships. And now, for one last time, I'm Kenny Beanie Small. This is Jonah Reed Wang, and we are going to be signing off. So please